This podcast is brought to you by Hoare Chartered Accountants. Hoare Chartered Accountants are based in Galway City and are a leading provider of audit, accountancy and taxation services. For more information, visit hoarecharteredaccountants.ie. Welcome along to the Maroon and White pod. So we're here to look back this evening on Galway's defeat to Limerick, and unfortunately it was a heavy one at the weekend. Limerick were very impressive form, and it'll be a good learning curve for Galway there. Brady, just coming to you, obviously not the result we wanted on Saturday, and a tough defeat to take.
Yeah, tough defeat to take, Shock, but at the same time, it's where they're at. Like you're dealing with probably one of the greatest teams of all time, that Limerick outfit, and they're not happy about what happened last year. They felt they left an All Ireland behind, and they're really coming again. They found 4 or 5 players. Limerick are going to be at the business end of the year again this year. Micheál said it after the game. They're in the building phase. I suppose beating Clare at home. Clare have no interest in the league this year, as seen Sunday with the hammer and Cork gave them, and the league is gone for Clare. But sometimes when you're beating the All Ireland champions, and it sort of washes over what's going on. They're not up there with the All Ireland champions, Galway. They have a lot of work to do, as Fergal said there before the podcast, but like he knows that it's a few year building thing, and that's the way it has to be. Like it's time to get the younger guys in now and bleed them over the next 2 or 3 years. The right man is in there. We just need patience with them, but it's going to get worse before it gets better. Shocks. That's what I'd be saying. But just patience is needed. Patience is, and like that, Micheál said it after. It's when you're playing a team with experience of that Limerick team. Um, you know, they just know how to win, and they were never going to be beaten 2 games in a row after the physical battle they had against Clare, and they weren't going to let Galway come down and bully them. And I suppose Conor Cooney laid down a statement with the throw in, and he threw a shoulder on Donoghue and, upskittled him. He was really up for probably too much, and he got sent off in the end. But you know, that's where Galway are at the moment. When you're relying on your older guys, and there's some stalwarts, but it's time now for the new faces to come in.
The most disappointing thing, Fergal, is just probably the manner of the defeat on Saturday night.
Yeah, it kind of got away from them, but in fairness, I think the subs that came on for Galway in particular had a good impact. So if there was one positive out of it, every lad that came on strengthened the team. It was great to see Cathal Mannion back, and he had a few minutes second half there, and he proved his worth straight away to how important he is for the team, and whatever they have to do to keep him fit for the rest of the year has to be done. I thought Sean Lennon was very good when he came on, gave great energy to it. But yeah, look at as Kevin said there, you're playing against a team that are operating at the business end every single year. They're winning Munster championships and they're winning leagues, and they're they're at the business end all the time. So if you don't have your ducks in a row going into those matches, you have to have your structure right, your touch has to be right, your team has to be right, and you have to take your scores. And we didn't really have any of that on Saturday night. The touch seemed a bit off, and the radar was off for a lot of lads, and structurally we were very open at the back. And if we set up like that in championship, there'll be a few more beatings like that to come.
As a cornerback, Fergal, just even from looking at the setup and the goal chances Limerick created, like it was very difficult for even the full back line. And I know some of them might be getting highlighted when people look back on the match, but there's not much you can do really there as a full back line when you look at the space Limerick had.
No, not a chance. I was talking to someone that was at the match, and they said that there was even more space than it looked like on television. But you haven't to hope, unless the ref tells you before the match you can leave down your hurls and have at it. There's no way you can manage a forward. Like I always say, you can manage space if the ball coming in is spoiled, or you can manage good ball coming in if there's no space. But if you, as a cornerback or full back line, if you have space in front of you and good ball coming in, you're finished. It doesn't matter how good you are or who you are. If there's space in front of you and the ball is allowed to come in on a plate like it was the last night, then it doesn't matter who you are. You might win one ball out of five, but you'll be leaking goals. You'll be leaking points all day.
Structurally, do you think that was an issue of the half back line going out too far, or what do you think happened there? Because even in previous games with Gavin Lee in the sixth role, we looked like we had more structure, but it didn't exactly look like that on Saturday night.
Yeah, you just get sucked in with Limerick. They pull their half forward line very deep. Cathal O'Neill and Tom Morrissey. You'll see them pop up all the time in their half back line, and you think they're no danger down there, and all of a sudden they play three or four passes and sprint down the pitch, and they're tapping the ball over the bar around midfield or the half forward line. So as a half back line, it's very difficult to be making decisions. Do I stay? Do I go? And you're very much reliant on your shape from the top back and from the top of the pitch back, and you have to set it from there, because ultimately it's the full back line that needs the cover, and the only one that can provide that is the half back line or a midfielder, and then everybody else has to cover that all the way up the pitch. So if you haven't your structure right up the pitch, if them lads are not covering back or know what they're supposed to be doing, then it's very difficult for a set of backs to deal with that, because I've been in that position in the half back line. Should I stay? Should I go? And while you're thinking about it, the ball's over the bar. And then you say the next one, well, I'll go this time. And all of a sudden you have 60 yards of space left behind you. So you're kind of on a hiding to nothing, where Galway found themselves. They kind of they didn't push on, and they didn't kind of sit back. They were kind of caught between two minds, and when they pushed on, they gave up a goal chance, and when they didn't push on, they gave up long scores. I think Cathal O'Neill had 4 points from play, so Tom Morrissey had 2 points from play. So their half forward line scored heavily. So as I say, a very seasoned team that knows how to work the ball around in triangles will punish you, and if you don't have your structure right from the forwards back, then you're going to be leaking space all the time.
Yeah, everyone from Limerick scored from 5 to 15 apart from William O'Donoghue. So that kind of says it all. But Brady, how do Galway recover from a defeat like this?
Listen, this circle the wagons again. You were just saying there, William O'Donoghue, didn't score, but I bet you he travelled the
Yeah.
most ground on the field, and Fergal was on about there, the triangle, it's, it's legendary down there. It's 1, 2, 3, bang. It never goes any more than three passes and it's moved or scored. And listen, me, all and Franny and the lads, they're well established, and like they're the best guys for the job. There's no question about that. Everyone wanted them. It's like I said, it's going to probably get worse shocks before it gets better. We need huge patience at Galway with this now.
But
It has to go back.
should it be this bad? Like a defeat like this?
It's not that it was this bad. Like I said, you're playing probably the best team of all time. Like I was listening to Will O'Donoghue's interview after, and who got man of the match, was it? He was
Aidan
presenting him with
O'Connor.
the
Yeah.
O'Connor, and he was presenting him with the trophy or whatever. And he was just saying, how come the competition is so severe down here? Well, he says, I don't want to give up my jersey for nobody, and these guys are bringing those on, and they have 3 and 4 guys in every position down there fighting for it. And like that's the standard you're up against down there. And like if you have a bad game, you're off, and there's a chance you lose, you're all out in the middle. And that's the way they look at it. It's competition after competition. We just haven't that in Galway at the moment, and it's going to take time. Now we found a number 6. Like we need Dahi back. We need him back bad. We need him back in at number 3. I just feel we're lost there at the moment. But Fergal said it there. Like the ball that was coming in the last night was just, it was ridiculous. Like Burns for us was null and void the last night. No disrespect to him, but like Sean Finn back there, 5-time All-Star or whatever, just a freak of nature in there. Like nothing passes them, absolutely nothing.
Well, it was tough on Burns though, in fairness, because even the ball that was sent into the Galway forward line it wasn't good ball at all.
It wasn't good ball, but like Fergal said it there earlier on, like it was the pressure that was put on outside. Like the ball that was put in with Limerick, it was just light years apart. They had that split second on the ball, and they were able to move it left and right. And the famous diagonal ball, that we've always seen with the Limerick over the shoulder. Like Kyle Hayes was phenomenal at centre back. He took a lot of stick, People looking for a reaction off them didn't give it. Um, Moved the ball around very well, you know. So like they have Burns to come back in there. They've Declan Hannon. There's so many players to come back. But going back to the Galway side of things, I do believe, you know, it's great to see Cathal Mannion back. Now, what's his best position? Do you put him wing forward? Do you put him centre field? Sean Lennon has to play. Where does he play? Me and you were speaking beforehand, Shocks. I believe we have a problem at centre field as well. You know, Keenan Fahy, you know, is a good hurler, just had an off night the last night, and nothing really happened for them the last night. But in all fairness, they weren't allowed her down there whatsoever. Like Limerick really, really targeted Galway the last night, and they made them probably look a lot worse than what they were.
It was even with the few times Adam English got on the ball around midfield, Fergal, his surgeon runs, it just seemed like he had so much space and he just left the goal in midfield behind him.
Yeah, they just had momentum, and I suppose they had a lot of possession as well. So, you know, they farmed the Galway puck out, and you know, even when Galway got it to ground, the break was picked up, and you know, as you're saying, as a back, you know, all of their forwards are so dangerous that they're all long shooters. They're all capable of scoring. So you're tight on your man all the time. So when a fella comes surging from midfield or the half back line, you're loath to, you know, to leave your man because the easy pop is on. So you're caught in two minds then. So anytime a fella comes steaming down the middle like that, you're in serious trouble. And I suppose the way to get out of that is to try and win your puck out in the first place, and try and not have that happen. But again, if your structure was that bit better, if there wasn't as much space for them to run into, like Limerick do, you know, they'll show you a half an alleyway and they'll bring you down it, and there'll be five lads waiting for you in a split second. Whereas they kind of trap you into it, kind of around the middle third. I suppose Will O'Donoghue, he didn't score, but I'd say he was nearly one of the most effective players in the pitch, just in terms of the ground he covers, the hits he puts in. It's never glamorous. It's a kick, or it's a poke, or it's a slap with the hand, or but he's constantly closing down lads' space, making sure that the ball is going in, is either it doesn't go in at all or it's spoiled. Um, and then when they turn you over, then they have the space. So it's a combination of them being structurally very good. They close it up at the back. They keep it open up top, which is what every team is trying to do, but they're just particularly good at it. Um, and then as a back then for Galway, you know, you're trying to mind your man, but if somebody is coming through a +1 like that at pace, it's very difficult to deal with that.
Just to bring you in here, Brady, do you think the big thing for going out, like I'd say we could probably pick the full back line if we were picking it for championship, we could probably pick the full forward line and we could probably pick goalkeeper. But it does seem maybe that it's a bit uncertain at the moment from 5 to 12.
Yeah, I agree with you. But there has to be changes, which is from what we've seen last year, and like it's very inconsistent in the league as well. It's 37 players he's used. Is that right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, Killian Trier's had a good game. I haven't seen him since the Clare game. He wasn't even on the panel the last night. Like Brian Concannon hurled well the last day when he came on. Couple of shots, couple of shots just went a bit wayward, you know, and he like Dowling pulled off a good save or two. You know, there could have been another 1-2, 1-3 scored there by us. But then again, um, Limerick could have scored another 3 or 4 goals. So like the score was the score, but where do you go from here? Like Shocks, the question is like David Burke for me doesn't start. You know, for me, I'd be having David Burke in there as a player. You know, bringing the guys along, all these younger guys, experience and something like the Will O'Donoghue of Limerick. Like David Donoghue's days are past, or David Burke's days are past him. He knows that himself. But he has something to offer, you know, for the last 10 or 15 minutes of a game, but that's as much as it is. Um, Let him be the standard bearer in training and bring these other guys along. Uh, like you said it there, like your half back line, midfield, half forward line, like that is the engine of your team. And we still don't know who we have in it. You know, um,
I
it
think
is
it's
a
an aw-
concern.
I think it's an awful pity Oisin Lohan got injured because I would have liked to see how he would have developed in the half forward line because I think we probably are we do need a ball winner out there.
We do, yeah, and I'm looking forward to Glennon coming back. I think we need him in around the middle. There's a bit of a streak in him, and you need it at that level because, like Fergal said it there about O'Donoghue. He's kicking and he's poking, and same with Garage Hegarty and all these. And people say they're dirty. They're not dirty. They're just very, very good at what they do. Even when Fergal was hurling, and even the guys at 2017, they were mean. You know. Andy Smith and all these guys, they got away with it, and they knew how to do it and knew how to do it right. But there's a lot of soul searching to be done now in Galway for the next while.
Fergal, on that, how do you see those positions as positions that there still might be a bit of uncertainty around?
Yeah, there is, but I mean, it's their first year back. As Kevin was saying, we have the most successful management that we've had in a long time back, in charge of the team. They have a proven track record. I mean, the last two Leinster titles we won, this was the management team that was over them. Plus Eamon O'Shea is in with them now as well. But so the track record is there from a management point of view. I suppose the age profile of the team is slightly different. When they came in the last time, there was a lot of lads just coming into their prime, and there was a good mix of experience and youth. Probably, as he says himself, not the same standard of team there now. And he is in a building phase, and when you're in Division 1 of the league, there isn't really a whole lot of scope for building. Ideally, you'd have a settled team and you'd be able to bring in one or two lads into it and blood them that way. But that's not the position we're in at the moment. I suppose, look, it still is only the league. You don't want to be getting a beating like that, but it's all down to April and the championship, and nobody will remember the Gaelic rounds in Limerick come the Leinster Championship. And what they have to do is probably what they didn't do in the last couple of years that I noticed anyways, that they have to pick their defensive spine right. They have to pick the spine of the team right, which I don't think we did for the last couple of years. And they have to get their best players in form come championship time, which I think was the biggest problem that Galway had last year, was that, the players that we needed most were badly out of form when the championship came around, and we can't afford that to happen. So it's still only the league. There is green shoots. I forgot to mention Brian Concannon. I thought he was absolutely brilliant when he came on with the bit of ball that was coming in, and some of it was of poor quality, and no matter what went into him, he made it stick, and he created chances. And he's dangerous. I mean, between him and Burns, and there is a couple of forwards there that are dangerous. You have Cathal Mannion to come back as well, but you have Conor Whelan there as well. So if we could get our structure right, that we can get them lads into space and get quality ball into them, then I think them lads will do damage. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom. But there is definitely work to do. But they have another while to do it. I think they're in for a big test against Cork, because Cork seem to be. They have the Limerick template down to a T now in terms of creating space and passing the ball and moving the ball very quickly. So if we have the same approach as we had on Saturday night, it'll be a long day at the office again on Sunday week. But look, there's plenty of green shoots there. The right management team are there, but the Leinster Championship is there as well. I don't think there's any world beaters in the Leinster Championship. I think everyone is kind of operating at the same level at the moment. So they have a fantastic opportunity to have a right cut of that. And what the next couple of weeks are about now is just settling down on the spine of the team, get the structure right, and then make sure that the best players are in form come championship.
During your playing career, Fergal, if you got a defeat like that from your previous experience, how would you have picked it up?
You just go again, you get back on the horse. One day at a time. That's how I always took it anyway. So you never know what's going to happen the next day. So you take it one day at a time, and the first thing you do is you recover after the match. The same as if you'd won 20 points or lose 20 points, you still have to do your recovery. You recover the same, and you head for training the next night and you attack it hard. I mean, everyone that was playing the game the last night will know where they have to improve. The video analysis is important for the squad to learn, but any player that's operating that level, that's interested in staying at that level, you'll know yourself going home with the bus. I was off it. I was too slow. My touch was off. Tackling was poor. I wasn't honest enough. I'd have a look at yourself. So it starts with yourself, and you get yourself in a frame of mind for training Tuesday night, and you take it from there. And the beauty of the league is there's always another game around the corner. And times past, say if you had a championship performance like that, you could be waiting 6 weeks again to get it out of your system. But you have Cork now down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, a fantastic stadium, and you're safe, so you can have a right cut at them. So there's a great opportunity there for them now, but there's no magic formula to it. You look at your own areas that you have to improve. You listen to the management, you take the messages on board, and everyone will either improve together or you go backwards together. And that's where the management's really important, to keep the leadership and keep it driving forwards.
Brady, as Fergal mentions there, Brian Kincannon and Colin Mannion are going to be two obvious players that are going to come back into this starting 15.
Oh, 100%. You'd have them on any team. Um, like I read a post Joe Canning wrote before, and he said the best stick man he ever seen was Cathal Mannion. That was some statement. Like, and you could even see it the last night. Like he hasn't hurled in quite a while. I know he's been training well by all reports, and like just his honesty and his stick work, his striking of the ball. But it was very impressive, Brian Concannon. Brian is just direct, and I felt the older Brian has got the better of a hurler he's become. I'd love to see him in there in the full forward line. With Burns and Connor Whelan. I wonder how's Whelan's shoulder. They probably won't risk him now for the Cork game, but that's a huge game, the Cork game. Whether they go at it or hold off for the first round of the championship, it's hard to know. Like, will they show their like they'll need to put out a strong team now against Cork, but will he want to show his hand either? It's very hard to know. But if Fergal said it there, that the right management team over them, but the experimental side of thing now is nearly over. They need to be getting their routine set now and their strongest team they can, to see what they're going to put out in the first round of the championship. Because it's only 6 weeks away.
Yeah, even with that, I suppose the big thing against Cork, Brady, is they'll want a reaction.
Oh, definitely. And like I was just saying it to one of the lads today, my All Ireland champions this year is Cork. I just I feel they've come on unreal since last year. They were very unlucky not to win the final. I believe Clare have gone back, but then again, Clare have been at the well for the last few years. That All Ireland, I think, has just sucked the life out of them now. They'll still be there in the Munster, but I can't see them going back to back. I just think Cork are a different animal this year. Um, and you know, with the tragedy went down there with Ryan, and all that kind of stuff. It's all building towards Cork this year. They've a lot of momentum behind them. Like Cork were always off the shoulder hurling team, but they're playing a lot direct now. They've gone very physical. Cork have gone very, very physical, and they're not just relying on and Foggy now up front either. Like, and they just bring them on whenever they need them. And um, I just hope they don't get a clipping down there, because if they get another clipping down there, the confidence is going to be very low for championship. But I don't think they will. I really don't think they will. They have the right men over them. Get their strongest team out and see where they are for championship then.
Amazingly, Galway can still get to a league final if Limerick fail to win one of their last two games. Galway beat Cork, Galway are in the league final, which is crazy to think even after that result. But I suppose they probably need Kilkenny to do a favour on Limerick this weekend. That's obviously the rescheduled game there. We haven't mentioned it yet, but Conor Cooney obviously avoids a red card on his challenge on Mike Casey at the weekend. Obviously, Fergal probably was a red straight away when you consider even Casey going off with the concussion and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what James Owens was looking at, because all the talk during the week was that the refs were called in, and after the headshots that were not punished or punished the previous weekend, and there you had a blatant one, and with Mike Casey of all people, who wouldn't be lying down at the best of
She
times.
caught
And
him the wrong side though for Glenn. He was the other side of
yeah,
the ref. He couldn't see the head. Like,
yeah, but even to see the player was poleaxed,
mm,
it wasn't. Look at the way it is with those tackles. He executed a perfect one. He was obviously up for the game, and he executed a brilliant shoulder on Tom Morrissey just after the throw and kind of set the tone for
Honestly.
Galway. And that's when it works. And I know myself, having mistimed one a few years ago myself, the consequences can be fairly bad. So, he went in with the same intent against Tom Morrissey as he did with Casey. I mean, he didn't go in to do him, but he saw a Limerick lad and he saw a chance to lay down a marker. And, you can't do that in this day and age. It was a full frontal of straight to the head, and it was pretty dangerous. I mean, he wouldn't be a dirty player, and I wouldn't say there was intent there to do any damage, but, he saw a green jersey and he wanted to lay down a marker. But he has a duty care towards his opposite player as well, and you can go in hard, but there's a way of
I
going in
wonder
hard
what was
without
said
going
to
in
him.
dangerous.
What was said to him when he got sent off? Will O'Donoghue said something to him. He just turned like a dog on him. Did you see that in the television?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have been raging to get a yellow card for that tackle. I mean, it was a foul. Like it was a fairly strong push in the back. Like that's all it was. But I mean, he was sending him off because obviously someone said to him at halftime he should have gone in the first one. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
thought the second one was harsh enough. I mean, same thing.
Yeah.
He went in hard again. Mistimed it, just got him in the back. It's probably not even a yellow, but I mean, the first one was definitely red.
Yeah.
I don't know, did you see it, but there was an awful amount of nonsense about Conor Cooney online after the game. People saying, Limerick supporters in particular, saying he has form, he's a dirty player. Brady, when I was reading this stuff, like I just couldn't believe it because we all know Conor Cooney, he's not a dirty player at all.
But listen, Conor Cooney's not a dirty player. He hasn't the legs he used to have. Like, he had a cracking shoulder on Morrissey. I thought it was O'Donoghue, but he nailed him in the first 5 seconds. And, his banter was up. And he actually scored a point or two. He was starting to hurl well. He caught a few high balls.
It's probably our
Um,
best forward in the first half, like.
yeah, yeah. Like, and that's where we're at the moment. You know what I mean? Whelan didn't touch the ball. Now, there was very bad ball coming into them. But his back was up. Now, he caught Casey a mean belt, but he was just coming up with the ball or going down with it, and he nailed him. But he went to do him. There's no doubt about it. I'm not covering for him. He just draw a line under the sand, and he's lucky he only got 2 yellows because he can't be penalised for a straight red on it. But he's very, very lucky.
Do you think there's an issue with those high challenges?
There always is, like, but hurling is hurling like shocks. Guys are so physically strong now, and they're so wound up with gym work, and they're taught how to tackle and tackle with the hand, the left side, right hand, right side, no slapping. Like, it's down to a fine art. It really is. Like, you have defense coaches now, forward coaches, tackling coaches. Like, this is like a lot of the hurling stuff is brought into football stuff now, football stuff into hurling. It's all the timing, the tackling, and turnover ball. And Limerick are exceptional at it. And if there's a guy there to be opened up and hit hard and crunched at the right time, like, it brings the team on. Like, it's a huge momentum. But yeah, going back to what Fergal said, like Tony Kelly's not a dirty player, but Tony Kelly pulled a dirty stroke the week before. Like,
Mm.
we're all human. Like, you're out there in the heat of the battle. He lifted up his hurl, bang, gave whoever a couple of stitches. Same with Cooney the last night. Saw a bit of a red mist. Seen his opportunity, went to nail him, and was just a split second off. Fergal said it there himself. Like, I've often hit shoulders, like, and some of them are good and some of them are poor. And like, when they're poor, they're poor. They look worse than what they are. But if you hit a guy around the head, like, you're in trouble straight away.
The thing here is, Fergal, these calls will be pulled in the league, they'll be highlighted a lot, but if this comes to championship, it could be a different story in a few months.
Yeah, you see that a lot, but I just kind of think the trend across all sports now is really to reduce the number of head contacts. And as Kevin was saying there, like the strength and conditioning and the athleticism of players now, like even from when we were playing, like it's gone up another couple of notches now. And I was at the Clare match in Pearse Stadium under lights, and even the warm up that the Galway lads were doing. I'd say they covered more ground in the warm up than we would have done in matches, and it's just to get them ready for the intensity of what's coming. I was a bit taken aback at how intense their warm up was, just the amount of repeated sprints and things like that they're doing. And they just do it because they're so finely conditioned, they're so finely tuned. So when you're that strong now and you're that athletic and you can generate that much power, then you really have to have a duty care towards other players on the pitch, but also it does have to be policed as well. And I think those kind of, like, it's very rare that you see a good shoulder now because it's too risky if you mistime it or you get it wrong. Like, that's how his one stood out so well against Tom Morrissey, because you don't see it anymore where a fella will hit a fella and he'll go flying like that. I suppose Adam English did it to Keenan Fahy, but it was a very subtle one where he put him out over the sideline. It was very
Mm.
effective, but visually it was quite subtle. But the effect was the same. He turned the ball over. But you just don't see big hits like that anymore because it's coached out of players. Because if you get it wrong, it'll be red. But I think you'll probably see that one policed in the championship. Whatever about the hurl to the head or things like that, but any kind of hit like that, I think that'll be policed quite heavily.
Do you think it's an issue in the game at the minute?
Again, I just think the speed that the game is being played at now and how strong players are, then, like, I don't think it is, but I think it's something that should be highlighted, and we should be going away from it, and it should be coached out of lads, really. The day the big hit is pretty much gone, and it's all about the choke tackle or swarm tackle or surrounding them and turning over that way. But it's very difficult to put in a big hit now unless you're in an enclosed space, because any any of the front eight on any team now are so mobile and athletic. If you line them up for a hit, they'll have you sidestep twice and the ball will be in the goal. So definitely you won't see a back doing it. You might see it further out the pitch, but I think the day the big hit is gone, because players are so athletic now, they'll see it coming, they'll sidestep you.
Even with this, Brady, when we're looking back on the game, I was even taking notes at the game. Go ahead, five wides very quickly into the first few opening minutes. Like the conversion rate, it was just a huge issue even, and it was a glaring statistic. Like a huge amount of wides even at half time in that game.
Yeah, they look very nervous, I thought, starting off. It's the one thing I thought, like, they seem very jittery. Started the game quite well, like, but as you said, just shot on sight. Um,
Mm.
if they'd gone over, it could have been a different game. But, like, they were going down to the lines then down there.
Yeah.
They really and truly were. Like, Limerick were so up for that game, especially after what happened against Clare, and they were never going to be beaten 2 games in a row with an experimental Galway team coming down. Um, so like
Even
that,
like had it back to 198 just before half time, and then Limerick get three in a row to make it seven at half time. It just felt like big sucker punch.
but that's Limerick all over,
Yeah,
isn't it? Like
yeah.
they're like the Dublin footballers in their prime. They'll just bleed you, and just before half time, boom, at the 10 minutes, like the 10 minute stretch they call it, and they just power on really. But like it was the pressure that the Galway lads were put under, like Sean Finn and Casey and the guys inside were marshalling the full back line all game, and like we had to shoot from out the field, but the pressure, like there was two Limerick guys on every Galway player. Like as Fergal said there, their half hour line, was dropping back to centre field back to the half back line. They'd swarm the Galway players, which they've done to every team. They smothered them with the last few years. Then, it's very, very hard to get your shot away then. And then the confidence is bled out with the team shocks when they miss the first two or three. They're nearly afraid to shoot.
Yeah, it's even, I think, even then after halftime, Keane Lynch gets a point and we have three rides in a row straight after that.
Yeah, and Keane Lynch was very quiet the last night, and he was still very effective. Like he was involved in five of the scores, where he was just a link man. Like we speak about the triangle again, bang, bang, bang over the bar, and popped up for a point himself. And that's just what they do. They do the simple things well, and if you're not having a good day, someone else steps in.
Yeah, it didn't even feel like Fergal, like the conversion rate was obviously an issue, but even listening to me all after the game, turnovers was a big issue coming away from that as well on Saturday.
Yeah, and the conversion rate, like as I said, I was at the Clare match, and lads had plenty of time on the ball, and they had lots of space. And Anthony Burns was was really dangerous that night. The bit of ball, early ball that he got, but he had an awful lot of space, and he probably had a green enough fella marking him that was willing to come in front and dive in front. Whereas, the last night, he's, as Kevin said, you're walking in on a fella that has a couple of All-Stars under his belt and a stack of All-Ireland medals, and the only way that you're going to be skinning them lads is to have ideal ball into you and fast and quick and a load of space to play with, and they had neither. And just the way Limerick played the middle third, like if I thought we were ponderous enough on the ball at times, and if you're not moving the ball fast and getting from A to B very quickly, then the fella that has the shot is under pressure straight away. And we just were shooting very quickly, but just not in any type of space or in our comfort zone. And we got into it in the second half as Limerick kind of dropped the intensity, and Cathal Mannion came on and Sean Lennon and these lads came on and they brought a bit of energy to it. Limerick kind of dropped off a bit, and then we were able to play the ball around a bit. I know Cathal Mannion got a great score from play. It was 2 or 3 quick passes from Galway. We had a goal chance. Brian Concannon's goal chance was the one time in the game where we moved the ball from, I think Gavin Lee came out from the back with it, and we moved the ball from back to front very quickly. 3 quick passes. Limerick were opened up and we'd a shot on goal, and that's the template. And when that's the type of game that suits us, but unfortunately, you have to have the ball to do that. And if you're not winning your puckouts and if you're getting turned over in possession, then it doesn't matter who you have on the pitch. You're not going to be able to show off your skills going forward if you don't have the ball. And I just think we struggled when we had it. We were too slow to move it around, barred the odd times I've seen there. And when we took it into contact, we invariably got turned over. Else we hit in a bad ball that was turned back out.
Yeah, I think even then in the second half, Limerick went on midway through the second half. By the 52nd minute, they outscored us 7-1, and they even got further control of the game there. But the game was realistically over by then, Brady. But even the positive signs, obviously, were Cathal Mannion coming in there, getting scores, and Galway doing as much as they could and tried their best towards the end of that game.
Yeah, and I was listening to Meall's interview after, and like Meall is such a positive guy, like he really is, and but he's not a foolish guy. He knows what he's about, and he calls it as you see it. He protects his players, but he'll also say it if it's not good enough. And he was quiet. He was happy enough the last night. He said, "Listen, everything didn't work out." He said, He said it straight out. We're a team in transition. It's very simple. Like but go back to what I said. You're playing probably the greatest team of all time, outside of the Kilkenny teams in the early noughties. Like I just think we just need to give Galway a chance. It's going to be a long year. They could still win Leinster, Shocks. I do believe that. Leinster, Fergal said it a while ago, Leinster is very, very open, Wexford will be there. Kilkenny are very average. Galway on a good day. I think they could beat any of them, but like the biggest thing now is the Cork game. What do they do? Do they get their strongest team out there? Do they go at it? Do they hold off for championship? It's very hard to call. Very, very hard to call.
Yeah, that Cork game is obviously going to be massive now in the final game. Brady, you were fairly strong on it. You want to see Burke back in the number 3 jersey this year.
Well, Dahi has gotten 5 All-Stars in the full back line. Why put him at 6? Dahi Burke is not a number 6. He is for Turlock because the quality, it's club hurling, it's not county hurling. But Dahi Burke is probably one of the greatest fullbacks of all time. Leave him there. Don't change what's not broken. Leave him there. Work your team around him. Work your team around Conor Whelan. Work around Cathal Mannion. Get your strong guys and make them stronger. It's that simple. Don't be trying to fill a gap with a good hurler, that hasn't won anything at number 6 when he has won everything at number 3. Put your 2 cornerbacks. We know our full back line. We know our goalkeeper, as you said. We know our number 6, I think, at this stage. Sean Lennon has to play. Do you play him number 5, 7, 8 or 9? That's my thinking on it. Put Whelan, not 11, put him 14. Put Cathal Mannion 12. You've about 7 player Shocks you can pick from that are going to start, and leave them in their strongest positions, and then work your team around them guys. not the other way around.
On your own club mate, Fergal, what's Dahi's best position for you?
Oh, well, sure, look, at having hurled with him over the years at the club, any position is a pleasure to play alongside him. But I suppose where Galway need him most is full back. And, I know last year they were he was wing and he was centre, and they were crying out for stability at full back. So I think he probably has to play full back. That's where they need him. I think we have good cornerbacks. I think Grealish is good. I think Morgan did very well the last night. He was solid.
Yeah, good
Given
hurler.
given the amount of space that was there. Darren Marcy's a good hurler. I thought Dan Loftus was very good.
Yeah.
Against Clare, we haven't seen him since for whatever reason. I thought Killian Traers was very solid against Clare. We haven't seen him since. So there is options kind of either side. But as I was saying, kind of at the start, yeah, and Mihal is good for that. You have to get your spine right, and you have to set out your stall now for that. Unfortunately, Dahi's injured at the moment. It's kind of snookered him a bit. But
What's wrong with Fergal?
he just pulled up with a leg injury in the Clare match. He was holding the back of his leg. I assume it's a hamstring, but that's just from being at the match and watching him go off. But they need him back. But I'd say he probably has to play a three. Gavin Lee is very, very good going forward, but probably if you're a full back line, you'd probably like him sitting back a bit as well, or somebody sitting back if he's going forward. But he probably has to play a three, I think, at this stage.
Do you think you look at Fintan Burke possibly as a wing back then?
Um, I, if you go on club form, I think all Finton's best hurling is full back, and being a member of the full back line club, it's very hard to judge a fella on a game like the last night where there's so much space in front of you. But yeah, I'd say if I had to choose between himself and Dahi for full, I'd probably go with full. And as regards where Finton's best position is, I'd probably go where his club form is probably the full back line.
Even with Gavin Lee the last day, he's obviously still relatively new to this number six role over the last few games of the league, but he's one of the players now that an experience on Saturday night. It mightn't have been a good one throughout the game, but it should stand to him as well, Brady.
Yeah, definitely. He's a class hurler. Like he is relatively new to it. He's a great find for Galway. Um, he was man of the match, was it against in the Kilkenny game, and everyone was raving about him. And he needs time as well. He's going to have off days, it's learning days. Um, but I would like to see him sit back in the pocket a bit more, like Hannon does for Limerick. He's it off to a fine art. He sits back in the pocket. But in saying that, like you have the Limerick half forward line drop back, their midfield drop back. And Hannon can go forward and one of the midfielders sit back. So we definitely have found a number six, but Dahi has to be number three then. And you have the two guys either corner, either side of him. You have Morrissey and Grealish, and you have young Morgan. So he's definitely my number six, Shocks. Yeah. I don't think we can go too much petering around with that, to be honest with you. It's taken us a few years to get a good number six. He's very, very good ball control, good guy in the air, good deliverer of the ball. Just a small bit more on his defending going back. He's I don't know how quick is he. He's a big guy, but I would like to see him maybe hold the half back line a small bit more.
Even with the likes of Michael Garvey, Anthony Burns, Tiernan Killeen, these players as well, it should be a good learning experience for them as well, Brady.
Yeah, of course it is. Like that's what the league is about. Fergal hit the nail in the head there. And we haven't seen Killian Traer since. We haven't seen. There's a couple of more guys we haven't seen. And is he going to play them now against Cork? It's hard to know. Killeen has played well. He's gotten stuck in and he's done his championship credentials no harm. But I'll have them primed. He's cute as they come. So. We've so many nice hurlers in Galway, Shocks. It's just when Mihal came back to Galway after the Dublin job, everyone was saying, "Oh, the Messiah is back," and this and that, and they knew it was going to be a building job. Now all of a sudden, Galway hurling's in a bit of a state. Would we have taken um, at the start of the season if we'd beaten Cork, been into a league final? Of course we would have. Just because we got a clipping against Limerick, like I said, the greatest team of all time, doesn't mean we're in a bad place. We just have a lot of learning to do, and them young lads need to get up to the pace of Championship hurling.
What would your midfield pairing be, Fergal, for Championship?
The $1 million question. Keenan Fahey has been impressive in games so far, and it's kind of, then you have lads kind of swapping in and out. I know David Burke was in and out the last day. Tom Monaghan seems to spend time in and out. It's kind of hard to it's kind of hard to pick two, but I suppose the way I'd approach it is I'd always come back to the structure and what does the team need, and what it doesn't need is two hurlers there that want to get forward and be on the ball.
Yeah.
You want, and that's why William O'Donoghue is such a perfect foil, because he's interested in staying around. Like, he'll do whatever needs to be done, and so you kind of want someone that's able to read the game and kind of sit back and defend, and then the other lad can go forward and attack. And I think kind of that's where we get caught at the moment. We have very attack minded, different players swapping in and out of midfield, and very good going forward, but then we just aren't covering the holes that are left. If the turnover comes, or if the quick passing comes out from the opposition defence. So Keenan Fahey is a very good athlete. Tom Monaghan's a very good athlete. Lennon's a very good athlete. It's hard to know who you'd put there. But what the team needs is one that's going forward, but also one that's defensively minded as well. And I don't know who you'd pick for that, but that's what the next couple of weeks is figuring out, just to see who can do that role, because that's what the team needs. It needs somebody sitting back and kind of a fourth man across the half back line when it's needed.
Yeah, it does feel like there's 4 or 5 options there, and even we seen last year there was a good bit of chopping and changing between the midfield. Just a question that came in from a listener, Dan Lawless. We'll give this one to you, Brady. Do you feel Go are in a better or worse position at this stage than last year?
Oh, better, absolutely better. Yeah. We know that Donoghue's staying. Like, that's for a couple of years. That's a huge plus. It's a building. This is a building curve. Um, I think Galway are they're in a good position. It's just going to take a couple of years. Like, going back to what you were on about the midfielder there, I'd love to see Killian Sayers there with Keenan Fahey, because like, he plays in the half back line, leave him as a sitting midfielder. Um, and swarm out your half back line. That's something I'd like to see. Then you have Sean Lennon, another runner as well. But we need to start bringing in big men around centre field that will just. And Fergal hit the nail on the head. We don't need two hurlers at centre field. He's hit the nail on the head there. Like, we need a worker, someone who can launch ball. But going back to your other question, Shocks, I believe we're in a far better position than last year. We just need patience. It's going to be a tough year. But yet, like I said, we could sneak a Leinster final if all going well.
Isn't that the thing? Everyone will have Munster hyped up as much as
Mhm.
possible this year, and it's going to be a minefield, and they can't predict who gets out. But does being in Leinster suits us this stage at the stage we're at?
Yeah, definitely. Of course it does. Like, Kilkenny are the Kilkenny, they're not the Kilkenny of old. Um, like, Wexford will have a shout in this now. Rossiter has them going well again. They've seemed to picked up their league again, and they're going for the championship. They'll have no fear of Galway. I don't think Galway will have any fear of anyone in Leinster. If we get our forwards right and get the spine of our team right, let us into Crow Park, we could cause awful damage. You know, but if we don't, we could be wide open. That's my biggest fear.
This is the thing as well. We can't take it for granted either, Fergal, because going on last year, like qualifications, obviously going to be the first target here for Galway.
Yeah, I mean, like, regards to that question, are we in a better place? I mean, it's March. Like, the time to answer that question is in the championship. That's where you're judged, and we won't know until we get to that stage and we go down to Nolan Park in the first round. That's when you know whether we're in a better place or not. And um, there's not going to be any easy games in Championship. All these lads are training since last November, so every game that comes up now is going to be helter skelter. And what I said earlier, that there was no world beaters in Leinster, it's not to disrespect the other teams, but it's more just to say that everyone is kind of more or less at the same level. Kilkenny champions, Dublin are building. Offaly are extremely dangerous. The way the game is played now, they have a template from their under 20s, All Irelands, and a lot of them are into the senior setup, and they're absolutely flying it. And they have us at home as well, if I'm right, in the second round. So there's every game is going to be absolutely deadly, dangerous, and I think it'll be a very good championship because the teams are quite even. But as regards, are we in a better position? I don't care really until we get to the championship, and that's when you want to be in the better position.
Just as well as before we finish, Pres Athenry obviously in the Crow Cup final this weekend against Turles CBS at the weekend. Brady have been trying for years to get to this stage and got over that, I suppose, hoodoo of Kieran's having the upper hand in the semi-final performance. Really impressive, and it's a terrific Pres Athenry team.
Oh, it is, yeah. But like, how many? Like the underage in Galway has always been phenomenal. It really has. Like in the colleges and under 16 minor, like we've always had such a tradition. And who's over them? Who's involved with them in Pres?
So you have Paul Hubban and obviously Fergal's brother Cahill too involved
Oh
in.
yeah, yeah. But sure, listen, they're getting the best of coaching up there straight away. Like, and lads who've been there, done that, and the two rabbits are playing with them, aren't they?
They have Jason Rabbit and obviously Aaron Island returned the last day as well for them.
And is Aaron back playing? Yeah,
Yeah, it came on in the semi-final. Yeah,
yeah. And how did he get on with the operation? All good afterwards, yeah.
yeah, seems to be now. Well, he's back on the pitch now, anyways, which is probably the biggest relief for him.
Yeah, he's some addition now. He's some addition for a college's team. Like he could be in with the county seniors. Like I hope he's minded now. And but like when you have the likes of him, like at college's level, like he could nearly win a game on his own. But um, I haven't seen them hurling or but I've listened to Farrell there and even Niall Canavan on about them, and they reckon they're an exceptional outfit. So hopefully they do the business.
You obviously have a vested interest in it this weekend, Fergal.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'd love to see them get over the line. They've paid their dues at this stage. They're a while building that program in the school, and every year they go a little bit inch a little bit further up the totem pole. And yeah, like it was a huge hoodoo, off their big monkey off their back to beat St. Kieran's eventually. But as I said to them after the match, there's no point beating them now and not going all the way. So yeah, Paul Hubin is a very good coach. And as I said, that they have talented hurlers. Tip hurling is on the rise again. The tip schools are kind of nearly taking it in turns at this stage to win the Harty and go through. But they have a serious team. There's a serious challenge in front of them. But I mean, they should get great confidence, getting over the line the last day. And the standard is good in Galway. The Pres got a run on Clare Galway and say in the Connacht final, and Clare Galway probably would have been disappointed in some aspects in how that game went, and then they come out and gave a brilliant account of themselves. The last time were very unlucky not to get through themselves. So it just goes to show the standard is good in Galway. Um, and we just wish them the best of luck. Hope they get across the line.
They do really seem to have the perfect crop at the minute, even when you're looking at the spine, Fergal, of obviously Sean Murphy played the first game against Tip, Aaron Island comes back, Jason Rabbit's played at 20s level as well.
Yeah, no, they have a very talented bunch, and they seem to have a very good game plan. They're very well coached. They're well drilled. Um, but they have a big task ahead of them the next day. So the Harty Cup champions are they're going to be a serious challenge. But they have a great chance. And as I said, the confidence you get from beating a Kilkenny team and a team with the tradition that Kieran's have, and also the amount of times Kieran's have pulled one over on them, and to travel all the way down to Banshee and Tipperary the last day, it was a lot closer to Kilkenny than it was to Galway, and to overcome all of that, show it's a great it's a great reflection of the team and of the management, and to be able to go down into enemy territory like that and pull off a win against Kieran's, it bodes well for them, and one more big performance, and hopefully they'll get their hands on some silverware.
Yeah, I would like to wish best of luck to Preston Ryan as well, to Sanchez College as well. They're in the All Ireland B final at the weekend as well against the Antrim champions. So hopefully two cups there that'll return to Galway. But that's all we do have time for on today's show. Thanks to Fergal and Kevin for coming on.
Thanks, boys.